All right. So, what are the ideal conditions for a tree to grow? Says the kid who grew up in the city and never had a garden. So, all you farmers out here are saying, well, wait a minute. Are we talking a pine? Are we talking a maple? Are we talking an oak? I don't know any of that stuff. So, okay, I'm going to switch up the question just a little bit for those of you who actually know about trees. What does any tree need to grow? Just give me the water, sun, soil. What? Roots. Okay, nourishment. All right. So we go with the big ones. Okay. Have you ever been over at the coast of Lake Michigan or Lake Huron or out west and been at a cliff and seen something that looked like that? A tree just growing out in the like it's a rock face, and there is a tree just bursting right out of it. And your mind just goes, how is that even possible? How about this one? Check this one out. How is that even possible? So, how does anything grow? How do we grow in our faith? How do we grow as Christians? How does we grow as a church longing to do God's will in this time, in this place? I mean, it goes to it. It goes. Amy said it. Yeah, right. You got to have roots. Think about the root system of that tree. Think about how powerful that root system is. Think about how deep it goes back. And so as the church, we want to have deep roots like that. We want to have roots that are just strong and hold us through whatever the storm is. And the book of Hebrews, that's where we're at. The book of Hebrews is a book to people who were in a difficult time. And in that difficult time, are we going to hold? Are we going to make it? And so I'm calling this Church for Real, the book of Hebrews. And I love this pick because it is just an old beat up church where the roof is partially gone. There's some graffiti where they used to have the communion table. Sometimes we can feel like that. Sometimes we can feel like we're broken down, or we can feel like the church in our society is broken down. And if we need encouragement at that moment, we go to a book like the book of Hebrews because it was a bad time for them. So let me tell you about, when we talk about the book of Hebrews and the conditions that this church is growing up in. And they're not good. They're like our tree coming out of the cliff, just kind of all by itself. Why do they feel all by themselves, and why do they feel like this is the end, and why do they feel like the roots aren't going to hold? The year is around 68 AD when this book gets written, and it gets then passed down to the churches at that time and gets passed down all the way to us today, over 1900 years later. If you've been a Christian a long time, if you haven't, let the people who have help you out. So who are the big two apostles? Peter and Paul. In 60 AD, both of them have been executed. Both of them are gone. And these people who helped plant your church, these people who helped get you going, these people who wrote all these letters to you to help you keep going, they've been executed. Other people have been executed. There's a war, historians call it the First Jewish-Roman War. And the First Jewish-Roman War is devastating to the people who are living in, modern day Israel and Palestine. It's devastating because their way of life is literally going to get wiped out. The Jewish faith, as we know it today, is a direct outpouring, is a direct result of that war. Because in that war, the temple will get destroyed. The temple where the Jewish people have come for hundreds and hundreds of years will get destroyed, will get wiped out. And the Jewish people will have to say, how do we worship now when we don't have the temple? And they figure it out, obviously. But it starts at that time. So can you imagine being in that time? Your leaders are literally been killed. You're living through a devastating war. It feels like your society is crumbling around you because it is. And you wonder, how do we go on? And so what's holding you together? What's keeping you rooted? What's getting you back to the soil and allowing you to stay strong even in that moment? It's Jesus, right? And in our faith, I don't mean to be simple here, but that's always the answer. So what do we see? And what did we see last week? We saw last week that Jesus is fully God. So if you weren't here, I'm going to catch you up real quick. Here's the four quick outlines. You can watch it online as well if you want to catch up on it. But Jesus is creator, sustainer, redeemer, which means he saves us, right? We just sang about it. Creator, sustainer, redeemer, and he reigns, which means he is in control and he's in power. So Jesus, and that means if you create the world, sustain the world, redeem the world, and reign on behalf of the world, you, in the English language, are God. And Jesus is fully God. As people of faith, as Christians, that's what we believe. And part of the mystery of our faith is it goes beyond that. That's good. That's cool. That's awesome. It gets even better. And Jesus, had to be made like us. He had to be made like them, fully human in every way, in order that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in service to God, and that he might make atonement for the sins of the people. Because he himself suffered when he was tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Notice, he's fully God and he's fully human. And we call that part of the mystery of our faith. In November, week 2, week 3, we'll dive in to what it means when we talk about the mysteries of our faith and what do we do with the mysteries of our faith. This is one of them. That Jesus walked among us, had flesh and blood, just like you and I, lived just like you and I, and yet at the same time was fully God. If when you try to understand it, your mind goes poof, you're like, I can't really make it happen. Now we're into mystery. And it gets even better. He's fully God. Awesome. He's fully God and fully human. Awesome. This is fantastic stuff. How could it even get better? And both the one who makes people holy and those who are made holy are of the same family. So Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers and sisters. If we get this right, you're in the family of God. I'm not just, you're You're not like fourth cousin 3 times removed that you have to find through Ancestry.com, do a long search. You're his sister. You're his brother. You're part of the family of God. And the Hebrews needed to be reminded of this because Peter was dead. Paul was dead. The church is under persecution, literal persecution. There is a war going on, and they're like, oh my God, are we going to even survive this? But you're the sister of the King and Kings and Lord of Lords. You're the brother of the creator of the universe. They were a people who needed to learn how to not be afraid. You take that truth right there, and if you find yourself wilting underneath the heat of, oh my God, we're being persecuted, our leaders are being killed, right? You need, right, that strengthened them at that time. That's why the writer of Hebrews gives them these words. So now, remember I said I love the therefores. I love the therefores. Because if this is all true, then what do? Well, therefore, since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly. Doesn't matter if it looks like there's no way there can be life anywhere. You just hold firm. Because if your roots are in Jesus Christ, they go so deep into that rock, they go so deep into that cliff that you will never fall off. You just hold firmly. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses. But we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. So here, right here, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. Don't let it go. And if God's got us, he's not letting us go. Our job is not to let go the other way. Hold firmly. Stay connected. Now here's where we get down to the issue, right? What keeps you and I from holding firmly? Now, I want you got to hear me out on this, okay? And don't think, just hear me out and don't jump to conclusions. Just hear what I'm saying, okay? I think it's affluence that keeps us from holding firmly. I'm not saying money is bad. I'm not saying you should feel guilty because you've worked hard and built a business. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying that what keeps us from holding firmly is our affluence. Whether you know it or not, we're some of the most well-off people in the world. And I'm not just talking about us in this room. I'm talking about our country. So look at these statistics. I've shown them to you before. 75% of the people in our country say that they're Christian. And I don't mean it like that, say that they're Christian. 75% of the people in our country believe themselves to be Christians. And I'm not doubting the work of the Holy Spirit in their lives. That's not my job to do. So 75% of the people in our country are Christian. 55% of the people in our country have some affiliation with a church. I mean, they may only come once a year or something like that, but they have, if you ask them, where do you go to church? They have a church that they're connected with. On any given Sunday, less than 20% of people are in church. Now, that's affluence. We have 1,000 other things we can do. We have all these other options. And they pull us away. And they get us going in a different direction. To quote Scripture correctly, money is not the root of all evil. Love of money is the root of all evil. And it becomes an idol in our lives. And look, this isn't about feeling guilty. Again, it's really not. This is about asking ourselves, okay, are we holding firmly? Are we staying together? Are we staying one? And so I'm going to give you the different example, okay? And I thought I should, I have a pic of this. I'm like, no, you can't put the pic up because in Haiti they don't have projectors to project the message on the screen. So a few years back, I go to Haiti, and me and this one other pastor from South Carolina, I met him like on the plane in Miami. I'm like, I think that's the guy I'm going to be teaching with for the next 3 days. So I'm like, I walk back there. Hey, man, you look like a pastor. You kind of weird dress like me. You on this flight to Haiti because, you're going to, oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to be teaching this thing, Okay, so I connected with him on the plane, and then we talked more on the ride up into the mountains, So we're going to do a 2-day seminar. We have an interpreter, and we're going to do a 2-day seminar for Haitian pastors. And people, these are grown men and grown women, they walked. Let's go to our resident expert. How long? 6 hours. What's it going to take? 5 to 6 hours to do your walk? Okay. All right. So these people, some of the people at this seminar, this 2-day seminar, walked 6 hours to get there. Walked. They didn't hop on they didn't go get on the plane at Metro. They didn't get out of the Uber, get on the plane, fly for 6 hours with a movie and service. They walked 6 hours to be there. And then they sat. If we would have put out the chairs that we made these grown adults sit in and use, they really weren't even chairs. They were more like benches. Like if we had those out in the daycare, we would lose our license. Because they would be like, you can't ask a human being to sit on that for 4 hours a day. You're violating the code, the regulations. They sat there. There was no power projection. They had pencils and paper and their Bibles. And that was it. And they were so hungry. They were so hungry. It's the most humbling thing in the world. Because you're like, holy cow. I owe these people. I can't, I better not screw this up. And then it's so that at the end of the first day of our 2-day seminar, they say, hey, everybody's going to get back together tonight, and we're going to have a worship night. So I'm like, hey, man, I'm in Haiti. I don't know a lot of people. Sure, I'll come, right? I don't have to catch up with. So this is the most beautiful thing. There is a light bulb in this room, a light bulb. And we're sitting there in this place where all the benches had been, and now people, after sitting in those benches all day, show back up at night and sit on those same benches, and all they have are just hymnals. And what happens is the people, just a random person gets up and they say, turn to 233. And they might be the worst singer in the world, couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. Nobody cares. They're in front right now. They said, let's sing song 233. And you know what everybody does? They sing song 233. I think I stayed somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours. They had been singing before I got there. They were singing after I left. Now here, just one more wrinkle. So literally, nobody would not happen. It would not happen in our culture, right? If you get up there and you can't sing, and people the next time, the people are going to come around. Well, we all have different gifts. And I don't think you've been given that one, and we just want you to know, right? That did not happen. But there was one group of guys that were really good, and they were in. The oldest one maybe was 25. I'm guessing they were between 18 and 25, okay? Just young guys. And they're standing up there. There's like 5 of them. And the one guy has got the book open, and he's walking down the line, and he's whispering into ears, and he's giving harmonies. And then once everybody knows their part, they just start singing. And it blew me away. They were so good. And the people treated them like they treated the person who couldn't sing. They can't, right? You're leading us in worship, and we're worshiping together. Then, this is the thing I found the most amazing. So the next day at the seminar, I see these guys because they're taking the class, and I grab the interpreter. I say, I want to talk to those guys, and we're on a break, so let me talk to them for a little bit. So we sit down, and we're talking like, you guys, that was amazing last night. You blew me away. I was so appreciative. They come to me later and say, would you like us to come by and sing for you? In the United States, are you going to get 5 guys between the ages of 18 and 25 to give up time on a Friday night to sing to a pastor? I sat in that courtyard, and they put on like a half-hour worship concert. It was the coolest thing ever. That's the poorest country in our hemisphere. But do you see how we don't have time for that kind of love? Do you see how we don't have time for that level of devotion? Do you see how we got too much to do? When I say our biggest sin, our biggest problem is riches and affluence, don't interject anything into that except for this. Because it keeps us from God. because it keeps us from God. And so, a writer I love is a guy by the name of Richard Foster. He said it like this. This book is in its 40th anniversary edition, and that came out, I think, 5 years ago. So this is an old quote. In contemporary society, our adversary majors in three things: noise, hurry, and crowds. If he can keep us engaged in muchness and manyness, he will rest satisfied. Psychiatrist Carl Jung once remarked, "Hurry is not of the devil, it is the devil." And so, we want to find the devil. He's got horns and he's got a pitchfork and he's right. And no, I can't say he's a Farmer Don in this crowd. Come on, man. He didn't mean it. He didn't. Dan, Sheila, he didn't mean it. Look, the devil is in my calendar. The devil is in my inability to say no to things that are keeping me away from God. Right? And the reason why I say the biggest sin of our society and the biggest problem in our society is riches and affluence is because look at our brothers and sisters in Haiti, and I don't mean to put them on a pedestal and let's all go live in grass huts. It's not that, right? But they do live in those grass huts. And you know what they have time for? God. And I just want to have more time for God. And it's nothing but me. It's nothing but my affluence, my riches that keep me. So let's get real and let's get hard on ourselves, right? What's your muchness? What's your manyness? It's keeping us from God. Do not, if you walk out of this full of shame that you're screwing it all up, you miss something. And you miss something really, really important. You miss that Jesus Christ is fully God and fully human, laid down his life for you, and you are his brother and sister. That's the good news. If you walk out of here with shame, I'm screwing it all up, don't walk out of here with that. Do not walk out of here with that. Walk out of here with, I wish I had more. I wish I was connected deeper. And then if you're, right, then if you were that tree in our society, because our society is affluent, and the numbers are 75, 55, less than 20. Right? So here's the thing. Again, I want you to dream with me for a second. Go back to the people in Hebrews. When the persecution in the ancient world got really, really bad, the church didn't stop meeting. They met underground. Literally. They met underground. And there's people in our world who are meeting underground today because they live in those same conditions. That's not our story. That's not our problem. And sometimes it's easy to say, well, let's talk about that problem over there. No, let's talk about the problem right here. The problem right here is we're too affluent. And so we got too many choices, and so we're not connected. We're not holding firmly. So now, do this. Okay, we don't need to go underground, right? They're not coming for us. But how might we allow New Life to grow? I'm not lying. I swear this is really going to happen. Robert will back me up on this. We will have a live stream of this service. That's one way New Life can come about. We're trying really hard, and it's a technical thing. But a live stream will be a way, so you're on vacation. That's a beautiful thing. We want to tell people, stop going on vacation because you got to be connected to church. You got to be at church every week. What does that sound like? That sounds like some ridiculous, I don't know what. Go on your vacations, of course. Of course. That's part of the gift. You say, okay, we're in the middle of nowhere, but we can be connected to our church. We're just going to watch online. If you're a snowbird, I don't know what that is, but if you're a snowbird, praise God that He's given you that opportunity. Yay! Go! The rest of us will be envious, but go! But stay connected. Like, I can't get there. There's some people who are going to watch this online because they're at work right now. So to them, you can't get connected on Sunday morning because of our society of busyness and too muchness and too manyness. You got to be at work. What day can you connect? Can you connect to the Bible study on Wednesday, either in the morning or at night? You say, I can't. Call us up and say, okay, what small group is going to fit with my schedule? And here's the other one, and here's what I want you to think through and pray about and think about. And you tell me your ideas. You tell me how we're supposed to do this as a church. But like one of the things that churches are doing right now, or it's not really in the church, it's like this kind of like, it's like the tree bursting out of the side of the mountain, right? People are too busy. They're going. They say, you know what we can do? We can get together and have dinner church. And how dinner church works is you have dinner and you have church, okay? I know. It took me a while to grasp the concept as well. But you have dinner and you have church. And here's the thing, what's so beautiful about that? It's the tree in the dry, bursting out of the mountain, because if you've got the Son of God, if you got the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and you're His brother or His sister, at some point the love of God is going to burst out of you. And those people are like, oh my gosh, we're not going to church. I can't go to church because I'm between this practice, this demand at work, this, muchness and manyness. When am I going to get to church? Well, I got to eat. So when I'm eating, I'll invite some friends over, we'll open up the Bible, we'll sing a hymn or two, and we'll have church. That's a genius. That's God. That's people saying, instead of let's ring, oh, it's so terrible, people aren't coming to church. No. How's it gonna burst? How's it gonna come out in a different way? So now you dream. You dream. What's your dinner church idea? Dream it. And then bring it. And yeah, we will put you in charge, but that's okay. because we get to do this. We get to do this. We get to be the people who bring the good news. I mean, if you can find something better. And look, we live in an affluent society. You got a million options. That's unlike our Haitian brothers and sisters who don't, so they just show up and worship God. But when you get to option 999,999, you're going to come back to the 1. Because it doesn't get any better than this. And it's gift. So here's the challenge. How are you being called to help bring forth new life? Dream it. Dare to dream it.